Stories like this are why, as a man, you got to be careful who you marry. It's not enough to marry a beautiful woman. It's not enough to marry a fair or torture. It's not enough to have a type and be like, oh, I want this, I want a specific type. Most of these beautiful people that you find so attractive with the outlook, they come with a lot of baggage, with a lot of trauma, and some of them have some of the worst character. And once she gets pregnant, she comes to tell you that, see, babe, I'm pregnant and I have to leave for 9 months. You're not allowed to see me pregnant because from where I come from, if you see me pregnant, you're gonna die. And that is how she would disappear for 9 months. And after 9 months, she comes home with the baby and hands it to you. What exactly would go into your mind if your wife did this, or if your brother's wife did it to your brother? This is the unfortunate story of 41-year-old Godwin Ikowak, who was a lawyer and a state prosecutor of the Akwa Ibom State Ministry of Justice. Godwin met his wife, who is also a lawyer, 36-year-old Abasi Sebang, and they formed a bond, dated, and eventually got married. And just like that, whenever Abasi felt like she was pregnant, she would disappear. She would go away. She would go somewhere else. And for a whole 9 months, she would not see her husband. They would speak on the phone. And after she was done from wherever she was, she would come home and hand this man a baby, saying that this is your baby. And it happened twice. And somewhere along the line, Godwin started suspecting that something was wrong with this arrangement. Something did not make sense about this arrangement. Another thing about Godwin is he usually goes to his mother-in-law's place, that is his wife's mother's side in Akwa Ibom State, to spend some days and some weeks, because whenever he is working for the Ministry of Justice, the mother-in-law's place is a lot closer to his workplace. So that is why he frequents his mother-in-law's house often. And so on the 3rd of January 2022, he told his gateman in his own house that he was going to his mother-in-law's place. This was not out of the normal. And when he went there, basically to work at the ministry. However, it is possible that while he was there at his mother-in-law's place, the mother-in-law was there, that is Abbas's mother and Abbas's sister, and then a 19-year-old boy they say was Abbas's brother, that later turned out to be Abbas's son, one that she gave birth to when she was younger and worked as a housemaid. But his wife, Abbasi, lied to Godwin that 19-year-old boy is her brother. It's unclear how he found out, but there's a chance that words were going around and people were talking, because obviously somebody must have said something, and maybe when he was at the mother-in-law's place, he probably did his own findings and learned that the boy was the son of the wife that she hid away from him for so long. But that is, by the way, he, on the other hand, was already suspecting that his children, the 2 children that his wife Abasi had given birth to him for, were not his, because throughout the pregnancy, he never saw her pregnant. She just left the house and came home with a baby. And that was why he was confused about the paternity of the children. And many times he wanted to go for paternity tests, but the wife would discourage him of sort. So on this day, when he went to his mother-in-law's place, apparently it may have been brought up, and we don't know what went on in that house from the 3rd of January that he went to the mother-in-law's place. However, on the 19th of January, he died under weird circumstance. It was on the 20th of January that his colleagues called and asked about him, and the wife, Abasi, picked the call and tells them that Godwin was sick and that he was in the hospital. But at this point, he was already dead. So why is the woman telling the co-workers that Godwin was sick when she knew that he had already died? This is where the conspiracy, this is where the confusion in this story begins. Now, Abbasi's name is also called Mary Patrick. So, but from this story, we'll go from Mary to Abbasi, just to, don't get confused. So around this time too, after speaking with the co-workers, Abasi calls the brother of Godwin and informs them that, see, your brother Godwin is dead and that he died from asthma attack. And This was not a surprise because Godwin did have asthmatic history. So when she tells the family that Godwin had died from asthma attack, it sort of fell in line with what could possibly kill him. But this is where she started playing tricks. She tells them that Godwin died in a hospital, St. Luke's Hospital in Anoa in Akwa Ibom State there. So that's where he told them that that's the hospital that he died. When the asthma attack happened in the mother-in-law's house, they all rushed him to the hospital. And so his family wanted to see him, but she kept denying them access to see Godwin. She would not give them the mortuary receipt. She was delaying a bit. It's almost as if something was going on that the family did not get. You've told us that our brother is dead. Why can't we see him for ourselves? Now, according to her narrative on how the husband passed, because at the time he died in Akwa Ibom State, she was in Port Harcourt. It was according to her story to the girls, to Godwin's people. She was like, I was in Port Harcourt. They called me and told me that my husband had a asthmatic attack and they took him to the hospital, that she had to get on the next taxi to Port Harcourt. And then when she got to the hospital, she saw his car parked outside, and then she went to see the doctor. And by the time she got there, the doctor had already certified him dead. So she is claiming that she, wasn't there when the attack happened because she too, she's busy. So it was the mother-in-law and the sister-in-law that were there to help take him to the hospital. But the thing now was, she is communicating with the family of Godwin through the phone, but has refused to give them the mortuary receipt because that is the only way they could see Godwin's body. And they kept trying to get it from her, but she kept, giving excuses. She wouldn't do that. Eventually, Godwin's sister and brother went to Abbasi's, as Mary Patrick, Godwin's wife's, Abbasi's workplace. They went to her workplace, her office in Calabar. It's not far from Akwa Ibom State. They went to her office in Calabar to go and meet her, to go and confront her and be like, what's up? Give us the receipt for our brother's body so we can see him. He's dead, right? It's been almost a week. It's been almost 2 weeks now since you told us he died, and you have not given us access to see this man's body. And they went to her office to look for her, to tell her this thing, because they've not even told her in her face. They went to meet her. When they got to the office, they noticed that nobody in this woman's office knew that her husband was dead, that she was just walking as if everything was normal. It's like, how can your husband die and you're in a workplace and nobody knows that your husband is dead? This was the first red flag that Godwin's family knew that something was wrong, because you cannot lose your husband and your work colleagues don't know that you lost your husband. This was just weird. This was crazy. They got to the hospital. They saw that this woman was just walking normally, going about her day, smiling, greeting everyone. And when they were trying to speak to people who know her, they're like, oh, what's up? We're looking for the woman who just lost her husband. We are our in-laws. And people were like, who lost her husband? They're like, wait, Mary Patrick, she lost her husband. Like, what? No, Mary, we didn't hear that. And Mary, who was in the office, learns that Godwin's people were now there to meet her in person to collect the receipt. And that's how they say she ran away. She ran away. She left. She told them, please tell them I'm not around, found a way to go to the back and left the office, went to her home. And when the family went to her own home, that's her mother-in-law's place, they were not allowed in. And this was just weird, confusing. And this is when Godwin's family started suspecting that this case, this matter, I get us be, something is wrong somewhere, because why is she running away? Why is she not telling her people at work that she had lost her husband? Why won't she let us in? So it was on the 27th that she went back to Uyo State from Calabar, because she stays in Calabar. She went back to Uyo State to meet the family, her own family, and then eventually calls Godwin family to come and take the receipts. But when they came to take the receipts to see Godwin's body, finally, after all these weeks, she gives them a paper to sign. And the paper was a letter of indemnity, which indicates that she should be protected or exempted from any legal liability for whatever they see regarding the body. This was now on that layer. This now started showing that there is something underneath the death of Godwin. Because why are you giving your in-laws a letter of indemnity to sign? To exclude you of any legal issue. It's like, whatever issue that you guys have with the body is not your problem. You guys take it and go. Basically saying, you should carry the body and go. I'm not involved in anymore. This is your husband. This is crazy. This is weird. Something is wrong. The family obviously knew that Godwin was having issues with Abasi Mary. They knew that the couple were having issues regarding paternity, regarding infidelity, regarding a lot of things, a lot of lies. There were a lot of issues that Godwin was still trying to sort out in his marriage that his own family members were aware of. But they did not know it had gone to the point where she now wants to get rid of him and not want to have anything to do with him. But unfortunately, Godwin's people were not stupid. They did not sign the paper. They collected the receipt from her forcefully, went to the mortuary to see their brother who died of asthma. But when they got there, they noticed that his body had bruises. He had injuries, a cut above his left eye, marks all around his body as though his hands and legs were tied up. And that was when things started going left. That was when it started making sense that Abasi Mary is covering something bigger than just an asthmatic attack. When the family of Godwin got to the mortuary, they questioned the mortician and they were like, "What's up? What is this?" They said this man died of asthmatic attack, but what are all this? That how is it possible that somebody who drove himself to the hospital died of asthmatic attack? Because that's the claim. They said that when he had the attack, the mother-in-law and the sister, they all helped him and they drove him, or they say, okay, they said he drove himself to the hospital where he died. So how is it possible that he drove himself because his car was parked outside? How is it possible that he drove himself and he died of asthmatic attack in the hospital and had all these bruises and had all these injuries? Did you people beat him in the hospital? Because I don't understand. When they confronted the mortician in that hospital told them one thing. And he was like, I don't know much. When they brought his body here, it was obviously not fresh. That it was even difficult to embalm him because it looked like they've kept the body somewhere for a while before they brought it to the hospital, to the mortuary. And that was when they knew that, yes, this man did not die in this hospital. So when the family heard this from the mortuary attendants, they started work. They were like, you know what, let's do an autopsy. And they conducted an autopsy on Godwin's body, and it took about, the autopsy was conducted somewhere in January, February, then somewhere in March of 2022, they got the toxicology report, and it was indicated and stated that Godwin's cause of death was not asthma, that he had been tied up. He was hit with a blunt object in his head, and in his system, they found particles and evidence of sniper, that this man had been beaten and someone forced sniper into his throat to drink, and that was what played a role in his death. Let's assume they only saw the sniper inside of him. That would mean that, okay, he may have done it himself, but his hands were tied up. So did he tie his hands and his legs? Did he bruise his own eyes? Did he beat himself? Did he hit himself with a blunt object? And that was when they knew that Godwin may have been tied up, kidnapped, beaten, and murdered by some group of people. Now, when they found this out, they started requesting police to get involved, but the police were not doing much. Don't forget that Abasi Mary is also, she's in the legal world. She's a lawyer. She has connection, basically. So it was a fair fight for what it's worth. They also noticed that immediately Godwin died, she went to the state government to request benefits from the Akwa Ibom states. And then her brother's relative went to Godwin's house to collect some properties, telling the gateman that it was Godwin that told them to do so when he died, basically. So she did not attend the burial for Godwin. Her husband's burial, she was not there, basically. I mean, it was clear from the moment she gave them the indemnity clause to sign that she was done with the husband and the husband's family. And another thing she did was to write a petition against Godwin's siblings and parents, citing that they are threatening her life and they are also intimidating her, and that she wants nothing to do with them. They should stay away from her. And then when the police asked her that, but what's up? They literally just did an autopsy on your husband and they said that he did not die from asthmatic attack. Are you not interested in finding out what actually killed your husband? And what did Abasi Mary say? She said, no, sir. When I went to the hospital said that he died of asthmatic attack. That is what the doctor's reports say, and I believe them. So all these ones that people are saying he was tied up and he drank side, I don't believe that one. It's what the hospital told me that I believe. And this was a response to the police officers who asked her if she's not interested to finding out what the autopsy result said. How can you believe a doctor's report over an autopsy report? Let's just put it that way. A doctor's report is one thing, but an autopsy report, now that is the real deal. But she chose to believe the doctors who gave her a report that your husband died of asthma. This is about how to get away with murder here. And thank God that Godwin's family put up a very good fight. If Godwin's family were not, this is why it's good to have educated children, because Godwin's parents were old, elderly. His father is 90 something, the mother is 60 something. They don't have this energy to be running around. Thank God he had capable siblings who cared and loved him, because Abasi Mary would have gotten away with this if Godwin's family did not put up a fight. Since that the autopsy has proven that Godwin did not die of asthmatic attack, that he was basically murdered, now it was time to make arrests. The police were trying to get Abasi and the family because they needed to explain what happened to Godwin. And the family decided that since the police were not doing anything, they set up a press conference and told the whole world the story. And when the story of how Godwin died went viral, one of Godwin's classmates from the university called the family and said that days before Godwin died, he called me and told me some things that I don't think that anybody wants to hear. And the family were like, what did Godwin tell you? The friend told the family that when Godwin called me, that he was complaining that his wife had been cheating, that he did not believe that the 2 children that she gave birth to him for are his, because anytime she got pregnant, allegedly, she would leave the house for months and then come home and drop a baby like she went to buy the baby from Dubai or something. And that when she did it twice, he became suspicious. The friend also told the family that Godwin opened up to him that his wife, Abasi, was sleeping with her boss, that she was having an affair with a boss at work in Calabar, because the boss is also a lawyer too. And then he then said that he had discovered that the 19-year-old boy that Abasi, his wife, was claiming was his brother, was her son. She got pregnant for when she was working under a reverend father in one Catholic school or a Catholic church like that, as when she was younger, and that she had been lying to him the whole time. So when all these things came out to light, that wow, these are damning evidence that this is a motive to kill, they knew that yeah, something is off. With all these things coming out about the cheating, the infidelity, the pregnancies, the 19-year-old child, it did not even end there. It was now revealed that it was Godwin's in-laws, that is Abbas's mother and the husband and the wife's people, that invited Godwin over to their house for a meeting, because now they know that Godwin is learning all these things about their daughter. So they wanted to speak to him, they wanted to talk to him. They also invited him over, and that was the last place he was before he died. Mind you, just to put it in perspective, they made it look like he was in his house when he had the asthmatic attack, and then from his house he went to the hospital by himself. I forgot to put that now because I got it confused. So basically, when his death was being explained, they claimed that he was in his own house. True, he was in his mother-in-law's place and only the gate man knew, but they made it seem like he was in his own house. It was later on that it was revealed that it was actually he was in his mother-in-law's house when the so-called asthmatic attack happened. But when it was eventually revealed that the last place that Godwin was before he was taken to the hospital was his mother-in-law's place, and that was when it all made sense to Godwin's family that that is the possibility that Abbas's family were the ones who killed Godwin, because Godwin had discovered their daughter and was about to expose their daughter with all the secrets, and that would make them look really bad. Now, eventually, when this came out, the police declared her wanted, and eventually she was arrested. But not only was she arrested, her mother was arrested, her sister was arrested. A reverend father, a priest Father Mbeke Ekong also was also arrested, because he was the owner of the hospital that, claimed to have received Godwin's body. It was alleged that this reverend father was contacted by Abasi to write a false report on Godwin's body, because they claimed he came to the hospital and died in the hospital. But that was not the case. The mortuary attendant in that same hospital is telling them that his body was not fresh when he was brought here. So which clearly shows through investigation that Godwin was already brought into that hospital dead, and that this reverend father, the owner of the hospital, and the doctor were made to write a fake report on Godwin's cause of death. Because how can you people say he died of asthma and autopsy he's saying he died of poison and blunt force trauma? Come on. And that was it. The investigation also established that, truth be told, Abasi Mary was not there in the house when her mother and sister may have done some things, because it's still not clear how he died. But they believe that since that was the last place he was, whatever happened to him there. Whether they brought in people to come and do it to him, or whether it was the mother-in-law and the sister-in-law that tied him up and beat him and forced him to drink that thing. Basically, we are still not sure. All these people, about 6 of them, were arrested in connection to Godwin's death. And the trial was there, and it lasted through 2022. Finally, last month in June of 2025, 5 out of the 6 of them were found guilty and convicted of killing Godwin. But the only problem is the sentencing is what a lot of people are frowning against. Abasi Mary was only given 2 years. She was not found guilty of murder. She was just found guilty of conspiracy, because she made all these arrangements to cover it up for whoever killed her husband. And the sad part about her sentencing is they claim that it has been counting since 2022, which is ironic. Imagine finding somebody guilty in 2025 and you're telling us that they will serve 2 years in prison, but their sentencing should count from since 2022, since they've been locked up. Which means this lady Abasi is out now. She's free. She's walking free. She has done her time and she's now out. Somebody they sentenced last month to 2 years in prison is already out, because it has been counting since 2022, which means 2024 she was already, her sentencing was done. Her mother, sister, and the Reverend Father was given 10 years each, and they also was counting since 2022. So in a few years' time, they'll be out. Many people think that sentencing is unfair and that it's not balanced and that they should have gotten more time. And the truth of the matter is that is just what it is. But when it comes to the killing of Godwin, we don't know really how it happened. We may speculate. We still don't know, because none of them have confessed. None of them confessed. The sentencing and the conviction was done based on the fact that, with investigation, it was in their house that he was last seen. And, the doctor's report was fake and manipulated. And it was just the possibility that he may have been killed in their house that the court was going based off on. Nobody has confessed to saying that, oh, this was what happened. Oh, we tied him up. We beat him up. We forced him to do this. He tried to do this. He tried to do that. None of this were done. And this is all about Godwin's case. Now, the wife is free because she has little children, obviously. And then the mother and the in-laws would be there for maybe another 5-6 years, depending on how they want to do it. Since she's out, since she's a lawyer, she could manipulate her way around the system to get them out, because I think that's what she played here. This is what happens when a lawyer marries a lawyer. They're both going to outlaw each other, except this time Godwin lost. I don't understand why Godwin needed to stay. This is why, as a man, be careful who you marry. Be careful who you marry. It's not about beauty. It's not about light skin. Oh, some men have specific tastes. I like a fair, light skinned, beautiful, intelligent woman. But look at what came with it. When she did it the first time, you should even have left. Like, Godwin really took too much in that relationship. And the moment he figured out what was going on, the moment he figured out what was happening, it was too late for him. They got rid of him. And now they are getting away with murder.